Now, John, I'll talk too much. You talk. You take over.
I was going to say we'll get this show started.
Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, no matter where you are in this big wide world of ours. In your business breakthrough, today we're going to talk about, getting your message noticed online, being a trusted authority. And part of this, I'm going to turn part of this over to our master here, Mark. He is great for putting out a lot of posts and putting out stuff like that. So Mark, how does one become a trusted authority online?
That's an excellent question, John. And I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 experts on here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you listen to them, follow their advice. I'm just going to steal some of my coach and mentors' thunder just a little bit. You got to be consistent. And I remember, John, there was a little corner store where I used to live. You'd go there one day, they'd open at 7:30. You go there another day, they'd open at 9:30. You go there another day, they'd open at 6:30. They weren't consistent. And it's like, you gotta, and here's the thing now, please understand something. Being consistent doesn't mean you have to do 5, 7 days a week. It means be consistent. If you're going to do it 2 days a week, start with 2 and stick with 2. And every now and then, if you want to add a third post, do that. The other thing you got to do, which, Peter, I admit right here on this platform with all of these experts, my peers, I used to treat engagement like it was a dirty word. I got on social media and I didn't engage. I put my content out there and I walked away. People would comment and I thought, that's nice. So you just, but do like my coach and mentor, Peter. Engage authentically. What are you saying, Mark? If you really got something out of the post, let them know. And like you said, take one chunk out of it and quote it back to them. Before we go any further, Peter, I have to share something with you. You see this guy at the bottom of the screen, the business guru? I had the pleasure of being on his 15 Minutes of Fame podcast yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done it, do it. But that isn't the story. 15 minutes before we went on the air, Jeff gave a fabulous off-the-cuff marketing mastermind. 𝗙𝗂𝗏 the great 𝗙𝗂𝗏 would have been beyond impressed. 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗁 would be beyond impressed of how he could grow a restaurant business. And I just took some of what he was saying, like John would do. You could apply it to a hotel, to a hair salon, whatever. It was just beyond fabulous. So I am saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, all of these experts here can help you. But if you're serious about growing your business, Peter Beckenham, John D. Allen, and this guy right here, Jeff Veale, you better make it your business. And now, that's not to short Dr. Annika and Tina, but I am telling you, those 3 guys will, if you're a doer, they will put you on a whole nother level. Jeff, I was beyond impressed yesterday, my friend. I am serious. And it was off the cuff, Peter. It wasn't rehearsed. He just let it rip and we had to cut it short. And we came back on. It was just fabulous. So anyway, to answer your question directly, ladies and gentlemen, be consistent, be authentic with your comments, and please, 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 don't simply get on social media to sell. Get on there to serve. And if you'll serve, you do all the selling you want to do. There, I'm off my soapbox.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
By the way, the reason why this, sorry, John, the reason why this topic is today about building yourself some authority on social media is because next week we've got what's your #1 marketing challenge, right? And if you haven't got any authority at all on social media, then you're going to have a huge problem with your marketing as well, all right? So that's the reason why we're doing it in this order, that's all. Because I know some of you are interested in the marketing challenge, and we've got people who have been in marketing since Moses' time, right? So I'm not going to talk about how old you are, Jeff. Anyway, John, over to you. Go.
Jeff?
Yeah, well, I feel like I was around before Jesus, but that's another story. Guys, I feel, thanks for the kind words, Mark, you're wonderful. And I learned just as much from you. As I tell people, when you have a chat to people, you can give them 10 and they might give you 1. The difference is I will use the 1 more often than not. The people won't use any of the 10. Big difference. So guys, it's about being, as Mark said, about being consistent, turning up, being across the main social media platforms, and more than anything else, giving value. I mean, I've got my podcast where I give value. I've got a Facebook group with 6,500 members, and even my competitors are in there. I tell people, go into that group and post about your services every week and put yourself in front of 6,500 people. And guess what? Every week it's the same 20 people putting a post. The rest of the people do nothing, absolutely nothing. And that's a bit sad, right? Speaking about being consistent, I took one of my clients years ago, my fishing buddy, an Italian gentleman. He had a garage, I think it was called something like Joe's Garage. So we took his garage and I changed the name to Genuine Auto Mechanics. Then what we did with it, when people came in, he'd quote them, for example, $1,200, right? And they've got no choice. Their car's a mess or whatever. And they go, okay, and they leave their car there. And what we did, we hired a couple of kids from the local trade school. And what they would do, they'd take the car, when it was finished, down to the car wash. Instead of paying $30, we did a deal with the car wash and said, we'll give you $10 cash, but we'll bring you plenty of cars. So we'd wash the car, right? And then put a packet of Menties or something similar, a pack of lollies on the front seat. And then the other thing we'd do, we'd to Avis rent a car, and we asked them, you got all these cars doing nothing, except for Christmas time, of course, all these cars doing nothing, how about we give you half price? So then we'd offer the client, if we're going to keep the car for 3 or 4 days, you had a choice. My guy will take you to the station and drop you off, and when your car's ready, come back on the train, we'll pick you up, or we will hire you a free rent-a-car, right? But of course it was padded into the bill. Now we quoted $1,200. When the client turned up, guess what? Client turns up and we go, there's your bill. He goes, oh, $870. You said $1,200. Yes, my friend, but after I pulled the motor apart, I was able to use some of the parts. They weren't all as broken as what I thought they might be. So consequently, it's only going to cost you $870. Now, what are you doing? You're telling all your friends about it. And where are you going to go and get your car fixed next time? You're going straight back to him. We took his business from, I think he was turning over something like 700,000. We took him up to just over 2 million in just over 8 months. And he took Saturdays off and came fishing with me down the coast. So that's my story about being consistent and making things happen, guys. So make things happen. Simple, not hard.
Excellent.
It's basically, what Jeff's talking about is, if any of you have been reading Mark's posts, he puts up again how restaurants can do it, how hairstylists can do it, jewelry stores can do it, how to get more business from what you're doing. And, it can be used in so many different businesses that it isn't funny, and go to non-competing businesses. Like Mark says, a restaurant can go to a jewelry store. They can go to another business and offer these coupons and offer giveaways and what have you. People love that. One of the things Mark just brought up about Mum's Day at the restaurant. You start out on a non-busy day. Then all of a sudden, wow, that day becomes busy. So you can use another day, or you can keep doing it on and on. And I'm sure Dr. Annika, with her stuff for stress and everything else, she could team up with a couple other people, maybe a salon or something, or a spa for the ladies, and make them feel really special. Then boom, wow, this is a really outgoing thing. Tina, I'm not sure about yours with the grief and everything that people are going through, but I'd be willing to bet there's somebody that you could team up with somewhere along the line that could help these people out. Any thoughts on that?
So a lot of people that, especially that are listening to this, a lot of people will say, well, that won't work for me. That won't work for me. Well, for the most part, everything will work for you. Some of it might need tweaked, but I can tell you in my field and in law in general for lawyers, especially in family law, things are different for us. But partnering up, I can definitely and have partnered up with CDFAs where I refer to them, they refer to me, and then there's one of them that I've got on my page, and she has me on her page, so that we can go to each other's website and we can see and make an appointment with the other person if we wanted to. So there's always a way to make it work. In the case with me, our clients take longer to make a decision on hiring because of the stress. And that's why some of the stuff doesn't work as well for us. And that's why, like, I've worked with you, John, and what you and I worked on worked perfect for me. So as long as we get and we keep following. And so I like to tell the viewers here that when you start working with one of these wonderful people, you got to go to the movie Yes Man. And whenever they give you a suggestion, just do it. You won't know whether it's going to work until you do it. So put blinders, plug your ears, whatever, dive, and just do what they tell you to do.
Thank you. What is a CDFA or whatever that good initials?
So they're certified divorce financial analysts.
Okay.
And they're just they specialize in divorce. So.
Hey, John, one thing, let me jump in here real quick. Dr. Annika, I don't know enough about your business, but I'd be willing to bet you, as John mentioned, those massage therapists, I'd go after the high level women who are executives. They've got to be dealing with some serious stress. And the therapist would give them one of your coupons for them to come see you. You'll do your magic and they'll be telling their friends and they'll be all over social media. And that's and one other thing about social media, ladies and gentlemen, that's such a broad term. When you say social media, everybody here, we know what we mean. But listen, have you ever gone into an appliance store and they got the 15 televisions going with something different going on everyone? You can't possibly watch and know what's going on every television, right? Find out where your crew is, your tribe, and laser focus on that social media platform first, then go wild. Don't try to be everywhere, omnipotent, all at the same time. You're wasting time and effort and energy. It's kind of like saying, excuse me, Miss, Sir. If you mean Jeff Veale, say Mr. Jeff Veale. If you mean Tina Huggins, say Tina Huggins. If you mean Dr. Annika, say Dr. Annika. This generalization stuff, forget about it. You're deluding yourself. It's not going to work. You got to be specific. So find out where your tribe is on social media and start there. I'm sorry, John. I just had to put that in.
There's, that's interesting, Mark. I was talking to a lady just the other day, and she said she's got a problem. And I said, well, what's that? She says, well, I know who my ideal client is. I know my message works, but I'm using TikTok or Instagram or some damn thing. And she said, my clients aren't there. So my remark was, why are you advertising there? Why are you putting your stuff up? Well, I like it. If your ideal prospects aren't there, you're wasting your time and effort and everything else because you like it. You have to go where they are. They don't go where you are. You know, you have to know where your ideal clients go to get their information. You know, and you can use social media to do whatever you call it. But the other thing you guys have all heard me say, here's your new word of mouth. And what it is everything that Mark's been talking about, Jeff, Annika, Tina, Peter, if they like what you do, they go on social media and post it. The other way is if they don't like what you do, they go on social media and post it. So, you know, people talk about word of mouth. Now it's word of screen. And if you want business to grow, you better be promoting that word of screen. And, you know, they got all these great things out now, you know, where you can become the authority. That one guy told me if they driving past your store, they could get a certain message broadcast out for your restaurant or whatever. You know, that works to a small degree if they're hungry and if they're in the right mood at that time. You know, that's like playing blind archery. You know, sometimes you're going to hit, sometimes you're not, but it's going to end up costing you simply because you're basically spamming people. And that's all you're doing. And if you think that's the way to get answers, you know, you're not going to get any. People are going to turn you off, or you're going to get some of that good screen time and saying, don't pay any attention to this crap. You know, all they're trying to do is spam you. So there's all kinds of things you can do to build trust. The other thing is, don't just throw out generalities. You know, Jeff talks about it, Mark talks about it. Be specific. You know, anybody could say, well, you know, make more money. Okay, what does that mean? I'll give you an example. When I was in corporate, I had one of the people come to me and he told me he wanted a raise. So I was being generous. I took a nickel out of my pocket and I put it on the table. He said, well, I meant more than that. So I took a dime out. Oh, I mean, more than that. I took a quarter out. That's, you're not getting it. I said, you got 40 cents this morning. You had before, you had a raise. He said, no, that's not what I mean. I said, you weren't specific. You asked for a raise. You got a 40-cent raise. What's your problem? It all comes down, you have to be specific. You know, he didn't give a dollar amount or anything else. And by the way, I was doing it to him on purpose, but it was just to point out the generalities don't work. You have to be specific. Know your target market, know what they want, and be able to deliver it. You know, everybody talks about they'll increase your ROI and everything else. Okay. I increased that guy's ROI. It wasn't what he wanted, but he got an increase. And because we were a union company, I couldn't give him a raise if I wanted to. But that's not on the point. The deal comes down to it. Get rid of the generalities. Be specific. If you're going to be a trusted authority, be a trusted authority on one subject. You can't be a trusted authority on everything. You've got to know what you're talking about. You know, you listen to Peter, to Mark, to Tina. For example, Tina talks about guys dealing with divorce and stress and anxiety and everything else. If you've never been through one of those, that is a very stressful situation. You know, you got the stress from the ex, you got the stress from their lawyer, your lawyer, the judges, and all the rest of the crap that goes with it. It's a very stressful situation. But if you have somebody there that will help and guide you along the way to say, this is what you need, do this, do this, do this. Lay it out in simple steps to follow. Have a simple process. Don't say, well, you got to turn in all your financials, you got to do blah, blah, blah. And by the way, you owe me $15,000. The individual sitting there saying, oh, holy crap, you know, I got all this crap coming and now you want 15 grand and no guarantees. Give me a friggin' break. It's, you know, could add in a ton of stress. This is where Dr. Annika comes in. She'd say, okay, now, John, calm down, you know, do this, 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 and this, and the stress will help slow down some. But I'll tell you, that's a very stressful situation. People want to know, can you solve my problem? And do you have a simple process? They don't care about your solution or your program. What they want to know is, can you solve my problem? When they feel you could solve their problem, that's when they want to talk to you. That's when they say, wow, I need to talk to Jeff. I need to talk to Dr. Annika or Tina or Peter or Mark. You know, they can help me. That's what you want your social media and everything to do, to build trust with these people that they actually want to talk to you, not just comment, oh, gee, that's a nice post or, you know, blah, 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 whatever. You want to build that trust so they actually want to talk to you. Mark?
Actually, can I just
say one other thing really quick, Pete, because John, this is just so freaking spot on. I want you to think about this. Jeff and I were talking about this yesterday, and man, listen, he's not paying me to say this. I'm telling you, if you don't hook up with this guy, shame on you. Do you realize there is a multi-billion-dollar industry called inactive customers? You know how much money sits on the table because businesses don't follow up with customers who are kind of on the fence. You haven't seen them for a while, and you're just letting them just languish there until your competitors latch onto them. If I were a retail jeweler, Dr. Annika and Tina, I would send them an image and say, pick out any of these diamond-studded earrings and necklace. You can have them at cost, provided you go on Facebook once a week and share some tips. Dr. Annika comes on, she starts talking, and the women are looking at her earrings, and even though they're paying attention to what she's saying, they're thinking, where did she get that bling? If I knew John and Peter played golf, I'd buy a membership into the country club and give them a $10,000 Rolex. Are you kidding me? Or, as Jeff said, you could waste $30,000 on an ad. No, ladies and gentlemen, do you realize the time we've been on this right now? Some local company wasted money on a 30-second or 60-second or 2-minute ad. None of us saw it. That money still came out the budget. You understand? So this whole inactive customer thing. In fact, Jeff, I'm going to really set you up here. Jeff shared a story about restaurant marketing, and he had something called the red napkin. Book some time with him, and it's going to blow your mind. So I'm going to say this in response to the red napkin, Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen, you got two types of customers. Peter, this is what I call a Seth Godin-ism. Seth Godin said there's two types of people in the world. People who make 100 million and people who don't. So, you can make it play off anything. So here's my point about the red napkin. You get two types of customers. First-time customers, repeat customers. You treat them different. They both deserve respect, but they're not the same in terms of cash flow, right? You have inactive customers. Your vendors who are not as sharp as you have inactive customers. If you cannot build a marketing plan off of that, you need to see one of us, ASAP, because you are sitting on an untapped gold mine. Now, if I was really greedy, and I'm not, I would say, hey, let's do a performance-based thing. I'll help you increase that, but I want 25% of the profit. I don't want equity in your business. Some people would do that, and it would be worth it. So my point that I'm trying to say to you is, you got to learn to see opportunity in all kinds of different ways. None of us here can see everything, but all of us can see something. And when you combine that synergy together, you're sitting on a gold mine. I guarantee you.
Peter?
I just want to put something on it. I'd like to have your feedback on this. Well said, Mark, by the way. Well said. You earlier mentioned the fact that one of the keys is to be consistent, right? There's absolutely no doubt about that, to be consistent. It doesn't mean you follow someone's formula, but just be darn consistent. People will get to know you, that's all. But my question to you is this. I hear everywhere that one of the most powerful ways to build authority and trust online, and especially on social media, is to not just be relatable. In other words, people can resonate with you, but more important, I hear this word, be transparent. All right. My question to you is, what does that mean to you? How do you become transparent? I'd like to know. Open question. Because if you're not transparent, you're going to fail.
What's that mean to you in your business?
Who are you talking to? You talking to me?
No, Dr. Annika. So what's that mean to her to be transparent in her business?
I didn't hear you say me. To be transparent is to be true with saying what you mean, I guess. And you talked about consistency, and I think someone of you touched it, but I also see that it's important to be consistent on what you post, that you actually don't send out messages about all these different things, because that people don't know who you are then, and then you're maybe not transparent. And also the algorithms, especially as I heard in LinkedIn, is that they see that you write about the same thing, and that helps you in the algorithm. I'm not an expert, but that's what I heard. So, but that I write about what I write about always. It's the same, for the same purpose, so to speak. And being true.
You know, also in the transparency, I think with you, and I'm just guessing on this from your field, is letting the person know that, hey, if you don't do what I suggest, you're not going to get the results.
I always tell people that we talk about what you can do and so on, and there are these alternatives. And I can say sometimes I would, from a medical or biological perspective, this would be more beneficial for the body, but you would choose. But the most important, you have to do it, because no one can do it for you. And I've said that so many times to people. Yeah. You have to do the job. I cannot eat for you. I cannot do anything for you. I can't go out on a walk for you. You have to do it.
And that is so true. Thank you, Dr. Annika. That is so true for all the businesses. We can put out all the information we want, but if that person doesn't apply it or doesn't use it, it's totally useless.
Yep.
You could give them the keys to a Rolls Royce, but if they never took the key and put it in the car and drove it, what's the point? You know, things are being laid out for you here, ladies and gentlemen, those watching the replay, that it's up to you. Yeah. You got to get off your ass and go out and do it. Because if you don't, nothing's going to happen. You know, it's like Tina for talking with the people for divorces. If they don't follow what ideas she's giving them and everything else, take your chances when you go see the friendly judge. And he may not be so friendly. You know, they really don't care. You know, as much as we like to think they're equal, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in Canada, the judges are a little biased on the woman's side. And it's a whole lot easier for the woman to get the alimony or support raised than it is to go down. It's unfair, for sure. But if you're not prepared when you walk into that courtroom, you're on the losing end already, guys. You know, I'll turn this over to Tina for transparency, but I'll tell you, she can share stories with you that'll scare the pants off you if you don't pay attention. Tina?
So yeah, there's more stories than I could tell in definitely a day's time. But the aspect with transparency for me, as all you guys here know, I lost my husband 9 months ago today. And that transparency is something that's genuine. People know I'm using that to help me be more real to them. So they've been following me through everything that I'm going through, because a loss of a loved one is not much different than a loss of a marriage and a family and a home and the life that you've been living for however many years. Some of us, you know, are married for 19 years before we get our divorce. Some of us are only married for a shorter time, 4 or 7 years. And it doesn't matter that transparency and understanding what you have to go through. And that's one of the things as a coach for me. I don't play patty cake with my clients. They need to know the truth. They need to hear the stories that you just said there, John. They need to know that going in, that judge, and in fact, I have not seen one case in all of the time that I've done this, not one that comes out good for both parties. In fact, not good at all for either party, except for, like John said, in a lot of cases in some states here in the US, the judges do lean towards the mom, towards the wife. And it is very difficult for the man to get a decrease on alimony or things like that when they've lost a job or they've been docked money or whatever in their job. So it's very difficult. And being transparent with my clients prior to them even coming with me is super, super important.
You know, Tina, I am so pleased you said that, because the word is tossed around, but I don't think people really understand what it means and how important it is. And you summed it up. You said, "Follow me, people, follow me on my journey," and then you emphasized that by talking about the fact that your dear husband passed away 9 months away today. Okay, what you're doing is being absolutely transparent, right? That is so powerful and it's so impactful. And it's more than just being honest. And it's more than people resonating with you. It's just being you. Because if you're not you, then who in the hell are we? And that's the point I'm trying to get at. Please, please. I put it on the table because I hear it so many times, but people say, yeah, to be transparent, but they're nowhere near transparent. They're nowhere near it. I run out of words. Annika, go.
Yeah, I totally agree. And today I'm also transparent with my backstory, and I didn't do that before because I was scared of it hurting people, and also that it was not allowed, because I'm a doctor, to tell that I lost my baby and my brother within 1 week, and I've been in the deepest stress hole you can ever imagine. And today I talk about it, not for people to pity me, but for them to understand that I actually know how it can be and how I got out of it, and what I realized during this journey over those many years. I mean, it's 37 years ago, so it's really a long time, but it's still part of my deep story.
Yeah. And for those who haven't had the chance to watch the replay of a wonderful conversation I had with you, Dr. Annika, please do it, okay? She shared this story. She was truly transparent. It takes vulnerability to a whole new level, right? And that's the point. That's how you differentiate yourself. And if you want to put it in terms of marketing, if people can see you are totally transparent, you are irresistible. You are irresistible, right? That's sorry, John, but that's what I was really trying to get across. It's critical we do that. It's not theory. This is how we work as people. We relate to each other in a different way. So thanks, John. Thank you, Annika, by the way.
That's very true. And then that brings to mind AI for me. There's so many people that look at AI as being the be-all, end-all for everybody. AI is a tool. It's meant to be used as a tool. It's not to replace you. For some people, it will replace them simply because they don't think for themselves. There's no emotion in it. Yes, I know you could talk to it and do all this great, grand, and wonderful stuff, and it'll sound like you. But it's amazing the number of people that use AI, and then when you talk to them, it's entirely different. You have to be you. You can't let this computer image and everything else. And by the way, for being totally transparent, there's my AI. There's your hard drive. There's your printer. And if it had an eraser, there's your delete. That's my computer.
Not one,
and, so people talk to me about using AI. And, Peter held up my computer to pencil. And, but people use AI, and you can tell when they're doing it. It's not them. And yet they come across, and then you talk to them, and it's entirely different. That's not transparency. That's just plain BS or crap or whatever else you want to call it. Be you. Yes, you can go on AI and get some really great tips and everything else, but make it you, not just what that machine kicks out. And I had a, go ahead, Peter.
Sorry. The other thing is, we're talking about trust and authority on social media, right? Not face to face, because that's where Mark's strength is in particular, right? But when you're talking about social media, there is so much crap on social media. Truly, I mean, it makes me laugh sometimes. I mean, Mark and I had a similar experience with this guy just recently. He sent us a connection request, right? And next thing he asked me, and I actually printed it out and gave it to each of you, I think. An example, don't do this, right? That's what happened to me. And within 10 minutes, Mark had the same guy doing it to him, right? And I mean, is that transparent? Well, it is. It shows how bloody stupid he is. That's what it amounts to, right? So all I'm really wanting to get hold of here is that if you can crack the secret, and it takes some intestinal fortitude to be more than vulnerable, to do what you did, Dr. Annika, on our podcast together. I was privileged, and I was in awe of you, because you shared a very personal journey, and that was a very special space for me. And to me, it wasn't an interview, and it wasn't even a conversation. I just sat there in awe and listened to you. I thought, my goodness gracious me, this woman is unbelievable. Why? Because she was totally transparent. That's the point. She was, and if you haven't seen it, please go and watch it. She's worth the time. So, sorry, John. And again, one more time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annika. I don't want to embarrass you, but
No,
it was a wonderful experience for me.
thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that.
Let me just share something really quick, because this is just fabulous. This has to do with authenticity. What was it? See there? Authenticity and transparency. How many times have you seen this on social media? Somebody has 33,417 followers, but they're not making any money. Or they're making very little money, and you say, how can this person have 78,000 followers and they're not making any money? Well, here's, for me, the authenticity and the transparency. You're selling the wrong thing. If you've got 78,000 followers, you've got more followers than 99% of the people on that platform. That's what you ought to be selling. That's authentic. You can say how I went from 0 to 5,000 to 10,000 to 50,000 followers on, whatever platform. Instead, they're trying to sell internet marketing or, whatever. And it's like, but that's not your jam. So a lot of people, like this whole thing we talked about last week with Peter. Peter has these fabulous subject lines in his email, and they work for his particular audience. When I try to pattern him, I said, well, Peter, I only got a 3% open rate. Well, there's a whole lot that goes into that, Mark. You don't just send a subject line to your list. You haven't warmed them up. They don't really know who you are. So this authenticity thing, you got to start by trying to be authentic. You know what I mean? That's where we're kind of getting off the jam. Peter, I'm going to suggest something, and not you got more than enough ideas to cover us about. But one of the titles, I'm just spinning one of your titles. You said last week, are your subject lines killing you? Are you selling the wrong thing? Or sometimes, are you attempting to sell the wrong thing? Because the bottom line is, if you're in the desert and you're thirsty and I come up with water, it doesn't have to be Perrier. You understand? I'm going to get some takers. The problem is people are trying to sell chewing tobacco, and they're wondering why the dog won't sit. The dog doesn't want chewing tobacco. In fact, Tina, you know this better than me, but would you not admit a lot of the problems in these relationships happen when one of the spouses stops paying attention to the other one. They say, you don't listen to me. What do you mean I don't listen to you? You don't know my favorite color. What are you talking about? Well, the one that swoops in, they know their favorite color. They know what they like to do, and they cater to them. What you used to do. And for some reason you shout. Your customers, you know what? And I shouldn't say this, Peter, because it sounds judgmental, but I'm just being transparent. I was on a workshop with a guru recently, and launched this product. Now watch my body language and facial expression. They said, I'm going to open it up to questions. Go ahead and ask your question. And this person opened up, asked a question. Now I'm acting like I'm the guru. Now watch what they did. Person started asking a question. I said, basically buy my product and get the hell out of here. That's crap, man, in my opinion. So I clicked off. You know, I mean, come on. This lady's got a problem. She wants to invest in your course. And now that you've hit the big time, you don't have time for her? Well, you ain't getting my money. So that's part of it. We got to be good listeners, ladies and gentlemen. As Peter says, don't come to the party to sell, come to the party to serve. And you get a whole different dynamic. Whole different dynamic.
That's
The other thing I was sorry. Oh, come on, Peter. The other
go
thing
ahead.
I was alluding to was the fact that you never know on social media who's watching you. And it doesn't have to be a post. It could be simply a little comment you make. And that little comment you make can make you or can break you. Right? Because people jump to conclusions very quickly. We live in a very skeptical, distrusting, uncertain world. And if you say just one line that people take, I did it the other day, okay? And then this lady picked me up on it. Quite rightly, she picked me up on it. I could have been a little bit naughty with her because she was talking about being transparent, okay? And her image on LinkedIn doesn't even have a photo attached to it. But I sort of let that go. I didn't, you know who I'm talking about, Mark, because you were on the same post. I did not antagonize her. I agree with what she said because what she had to say was true. But I was trying to make a point to her about a certain thing. And I was trying to be totally open and honest with her and stand my ground. I didn't want to change my values to keep somebody happy. In the end, she messaged me a few times, and next thing you know, now we're connected, and now we're going to talk to each other next week. I couldn't do it this week because I can't talk, but we're going to talk next week, okay? And she's quite a lovely lady. So all I'm saying is when you are, be aware that you never know who's watching you and what they're thinking about you. So be transparent in the realest way possible. And that brings me one last thing, John, I'm going to stop. I'm going to send to each of you, I've already done it to you, Mark, and I think I've sent it to you, John. I'm asking you, I'm being totally transparent here. I'm asking you to send me back your feedback about what I can do to get better. If you can't be more transparent than that, then I don't know where it is, right? I really am seeking your honest feedback. This old bugger wants to do things in a better way in the future. And I'm asking you, I don't want testimonial, none of that crap, right? I just want you to give me a private feedback in 1 or 2 sentences. Peter, why don't you do this, this, and this? Okay. I'm happy to accept that as constructive advice from everybody who I work with on places like this. So watch out for my message because I'm looking forward to having feedback from you. Thank you, John.
Oh,
That's
thanks,
transparency. Peter. That's transparency in action. That's what I believe in it. I truly believe in it.
Thanks, Peter. You know, that is being transparent. Going on what Mark said, I was at a seminar or whatever you want to call it for 3 days in Atlanta a few years back. And all the speakers were up there to sell their products or service. This one individual came on and they had this contest going. And he started out with, I don't give a shit. I had 1,000 or some big number of people disconnect from me last night. They don't want to buy my stuff. That's their problem, not mine. They're just nothing but losers. Guess who sold the least out of all the stuff at that seminar? He bitched at the end. Nobody wants to buy my stuff. Gee, I wonder why. And I was really new to internet marketing and what have you. That was back in, I think, 2012 or something like that. And I was talking to a bunch of people after that were all good in the internet. And they said that remark killed it for them. They would never buy his stuff or follow him again. So the guy was being transparent.
And they never forget either. The point.
Nope.
Right? And Mark,
And it killed his business.
Okay? People respond negatively 10 times more than they respond positively.
You know, and then there's that good old law, 250. Everybody knows 250 people. Guess how many of those people from that conference told other people? I still talk about it today. And I can't remember who the guy was, but I'll tell you, if I did know his name, I'd be glad to share it. Because, no, and I doubt he's even still in business. He did a great job of killing his business. You know, talk about transparency. He was good.
Peter,
Yeah,
if I
it would
could,
be interesting
John,
to,
this is so
to hear who
fabulous.
it was.
This is so fabulous, but I want us to all think about something. We come on here week after week, so far, week after week after week, we share this information. If you have not seen the story about YouTube, it will blow your mind. They got a young man, I don't even know this guy's name. I came across this clip by accident. I'm doing something else. I saw the thumbnail. I clicked on it, and there's this gentleman sitting there in a chair. And he said, when we first started YouTube, we got crickets. He said, it got so bad, we were going to pull the plug. He said, we did this one last video, and YouTube blew up. So what I'm saying to us is play the long game. Sort of like what Peter does. Peter's not in a hurry. He comments, he comes back, shares some free information. That's how I met him. We were blog comment partners. And one day out of the blue, Peter commented and just dropped a little science in there, and I responded, and we've been buds ever since. So the point I'm saying is, it's not going to be that one blow to the tree. The George Foreman, late great George Foreman, that one punch that knocks everybody out. We got to be more like Sugar Ray Leonard. Jab, 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 hook, as the great Gary B says. It's the long game. It's not that one thing. Now, it may be one thing, but it's going to take a lot of one little things that's going to get us there. So just, if you believe in what we're doing, keep giving the value. The audience is out there. They are desperate trying to find us. And if we say consistent, either somebody they know, who knows. Did you guys see that movie 6 Degrees of Separation with Dennis Quaid and Forrest Whitaker? Where it showed how, probably with the internet, it's less. We're 1 or 2 people away from the people we want to be. It's just that simple. But if we give up and say, oh, I didn't hit a home run, I'm a failure, and this isn't working, don't do that. Play the long game. Tina, something you say to a client, they may not do business with you, but they go back and tell 15 people, she was fabulous. This, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And somebody calls you up out of the blue and say, oh, this person recommended you. You think like, what? That person didn't do business with me. That's the kind of impact we can have. But we got to stay true to the cause. I'm in it for the long haul. I hope the rest of you are. I learn every time. Peter, I go back, and before I comment on these or on YouTube, I take notes. I get blog post ideas, and I go write about it. But I give credit. I say, oh, it's fabulous. But I'm getting value. So I hope we're all getting value because everybody's contributing. And we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, but collectively, this is a whirlwind. Now, Peter, I don't know who this is. They don't have their camera on, but they've been here the whole time. And unfortunately, they haven't shared anything yet. But the point is, this is Stop.
I was not trying to get a word in to ask her. VJ, you want to say something? You want to turn your camera on, or are you indisposed?
No, I don't know why. For some reason, my camera is not working. Hi, all. This is Lakshmi. I'm from India. And the next time I'll make sure that my camera is on. Really sorry about it.
That's okay.
So I was just listening. I'm actually very new to social media. I'm not much of a social media person. But after I started my company, which is into IT services, I decided to get into LinkedIn. And I think that is where I and Peter got connected. And so, I mean, all the points that all of you have mentioned, consistency, giving value, and be there always, all these things are like very, very true, very authentic. It is very important that, we have to show up no matter what. Like Mark said, if you're giving 2 posts, let's stick to 2 posts in a week, or maybe we can add third one, but not skipping that week. So that is what I'm practicing right now. I normally post like once or twice a week, and I'm sticking to that routine. And so currently, I'm still learning about the social media. How does it work, especially the LinkedIn part of it? And it's amazing platform. There is absolutely no doubt. I think even though I've been working for past 15 years, I'm not sure why I was not on LinkedIn, because I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much from LinkedIn, especially I come from a HR background, and now because I've started my own company, you have to wear like multiple hats, and sales being one of them. Of course, I love sales. To get an understanding about sales is not easy. So I'm learning a lot from LinkedIn. There's absolutely no doubt. But again, what Peter mentioned about transparency, that is very, very important. So recently I had one incident where, because lack of time serving other customers, I was not able to be very active on LinkedIn. So I keep seeing a lot of posts, companies talking about agencies talking about being a brand ambassador. Sorry, not brand ambassador. They can, they can take care of my LinkedIn account in terms of posting, optimizing my profile and all those things. And I thought, hey, for me to learn LinkedIn, it is going to take time. Why not let me hire? And I decided to engage that vendor to take care of my LinkedIn this thing. And we had a call, we had a discussion, and they wanted to understand what exactly our services are. I explained them thoroughly. And what is my expectation out of LinkedIn? Everything we discussed. That was one meeting. Second meeting, they said, okay, hey, you need to pay advance. I said, okay, no problem. I paid them advance. And then they had sent me, the profile optimization part of it. And you will not believe it was complete rubbish. I mean, I was like so disappointed with that. I could not understand how, when you are talking about you're an agency and you can make our agency, increase my followers within 3 months to 500 to 6,000 followers, optimize my profile and get leads. How can they give such a wrong about my profile? And then again, I gave them second chance. Second chance also, they made the same mistake. So immediately I had to really cut them out. I said no. And I had already paid the advance. I said, why not give me some content? And, they gave me within 2 days, 30 pieces of content. So my basic question is, first thing, they don't understand the niche. Right. It is very important when you are saying that you're an agency and you're going to take care of my LinkedIn account, you need to understand the niche. Otherwise, don't go for it. Have a focus on your niche. They don't have a focus. They want to do everything. How can you do everything? I don't know, so, I mean, that is where the transparency part of it comes. I feel people should be more transparent, exactly like, when they're talking, what they're doing is very important. Because, social media, like, a lot of CEOs or like, the top people, they don't have that kind of time because, they're busy, with their deliveries or like, taking care of the team, handling the customers. So they don't have time. When they are giving that kind of a responsibility, it is very important for them to be, come with not 100%, 200% accuracy. And, that is where the trust comes. So once the trust is gone, now it is very difficult for me to, trust anybody, like, especially these agencies when they talk about that, they're going to do branding. Maybe my experience is very bad. So that is where I think what Peter said, transparency is very important. Trust is very important. Just not publishing the content is not good enough. I think, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out. Maybe you guys can help me out there.
Can I just mention something to you? I want you to be very careful. First of all, if you're using an agency, and I'm not against agencies, but if you're using an agency, be very careful because the one thing that's on the line is your reputation.
Very true. Very true.
That's
the only reason I pulled them out because my reputation is at stake. I don't want people to see any bad content,
But what I'm getting at is this. Why are you doing that? Why don't you? I wouldn't use an agency until you worked out who in the heck your ideal audience is in the first place, right? Because you're flying blind. You said you're relatively new to social media, and I'm being constructive and not being critical, right? I'm being totally honest with you. You need to be clear. Who are the people that you want to be able to help in some way, and what are the problems you can solve for them? You need to get that clear in your mind before you start pushing it out to agencies, because they're going to create content without knowing what that is.
Exactly. Very
All
true.
right? So you actually put the cart before the horse. I'm just, I mean, what you see is what you get. Okay, but I'm trying to be helpful here. But be careful with that. If you need something, reach out to us, and we're here for that. The other thing is, and keep coming in. Get your camera so we can see you next week. All right.
Definitely, I'll do my best.
Good.
And put your name in, or put your LinkedIn in the chat, because there are so many with your names when I search for you, and I don't know which one is you because you don't have the photo.
1 second, I'll just put it right away.
The other thing, John, sorry, just to say this. The other thing is, Mark and John and I, we can only do what is best for you. We don't walk on water, okay? We're not born with that sort of skill.
I can walk on a frozen lake.
Stop stealing my thunder. I'm trying to make an important point. I mean, I love you, dearie, but shut up for a minute, all right? What we want is for you to give us what you want to talk about. We've asked 3 times in our little Facebook group, and nobody has even responded yet. Okay, and we there's no problem for Mark and John and I to come up with topics, but we want to give you topics that you want, not what we think you need. That's the same thing as supposing what a client wants, and we're playing the wrong game. All right, so please go in, think about it. I don't want to answer now. Think about it and go in there and give us the things that you really want answers to. It doesn't matter what it is. All right, please do that. And the other thing, if there are people you think could benefit from being in our little community, please invite them. Okay, we need to get to a level of about 20 plus to keep the levels of conversation and the networking side of the operation effective. It's a little too small to do what we need to do right now. And we will continue to grow it, but we need your help to do that, because we want to grow people that you want to be with. If you know people who you feel that would be beneficial to working within our environment, please do so. All right. Sorry, John.
I have just shared my LinkedIn.
Okay,
profile.
so you only sent it to me because I had personal messaged you. So
I'm
make
so
sure that you
sorry.
go in at the bottom and go to the top on the level and put everybody.
Sure.
Meeting group chat.
Okay.
I've got it anyway, but the others haven't got it. By the way,
Peter, in the break, can I just say this? BJ, you have a fabulous story about a negative experience with an agency. That's transparent. Share that story.
Yeah,
Sure.
make a post on it.
I'll do that. Definitely, I'll do that.
Don't ask the agency to do the post. You do it.
I'm doing. I'm very particular about my posts. I'm very particular. It has to be me. It has to be me.
Yeah.
It cannot
Maybe
be
you can.
somebody else.
Maybe you can share the
Right.
link, Tina.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
Hold on, I got it.
Peter, can you share? I think you have, right? My link.
Yeah, I think.
I will just put it up here for
Good, Tina.
everybody.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Tina.
Okay, and thank you for being so
I'm
open
very
about it.
particular, Peter, about my posts because it has to connect, right? Very important. Like, whatever you post, it has to be you. It cannot be somebody else. Unless you know the subject, you cannot post, right? Whether you're talking about your personal story or you're talking about your subject, unless you know that, you cannot post it.
Yeah, but don't be fooled by social media. Don't be fooled by it, okay? You can easily get distracted on social media and waste a lot of time and make no money. Okay?
True.
Do not judge please don't do this. Do not judge your success on social media by the number of comments you get on a post. Okay? That's just playing the algorithm game. Judge your success on social media by the number of messages you get. Because that's where the money is.